I've heard this so many times from patients at the beauty salon and all across social media threads. We love to shop, we want to go to Coachella, but we can't afford it. Then that little buy now, pay later button shows up at checkout, and it feels like a magical treat yourself pass from the universe. But here's the thing. Buy now, pay later, or BNPL, isn't magic. It's psychology. And if we're not careful, it can be a fast track to financial stress, shame, and a lot of "what was I thinking" moments. Let's unpack why these systems are so seductive and how they hook people, especially those who've been through economic or emotional trauma. Welcome back to Savvy Psychologist. I'm your host, Dr. Monica Johnson. Every week on this show, I'll help you face life's challenges with evidence-based approaches, a sympathetic ear, and zero judgment. Buy now, pay later services like Afterpay, Klarna, Affirm, and Sezzle are everywhere. They're marketed as smarter alternatives to credit cards, interest-free, at least upfront, easy to use, and designed to help you, quote unquote, budget better. But behind the cute little branding is a billion-dollar industry that knows exactly how your brain works. By 2023, 1 in 3 Americans had used a BNPL service, and usage was highest among millennials and Gen Z. Their top categories were clothing, electronics, and beauty. You know, the stuff that we can emotionally justify in zero point 0.2 seconds. Unlike traditional credit, BNPL often doesn't require a credit check, making it accessible but also riskier. Now, before you blow up my comments, I want to be clear that I understand the impacts of inflation, financial binds, etc. There are people who are using these services for groceries or other necessities. That's a totally different conversation. I'm looking at the person who just did their 23rd shopping haul for the year, who just turned their DoorDash order into 4 equal installments, or would rather purchase an unaffordable trip and simply pass that problem on to their future self. Let's break down some of the psychological levers that BNPL companies pull. BNPL systems activate your brain's reward center, especially the dopaminergic pathway that craves novelty, pleasure, and relief. This delays the pain of paying. Spending money to some degree hurts. BNPL numbs the financial sting just long enough for you to click confirm. When you break a $120 purchase into 4 $30 payments, it feels manageable. You think, I got this, and that illusion is powerful. We're more willing to spend when we don't see the full amount. BNPL reframes spending as small bites, not a big meal, but you can still choke on it. Many BNPL purchases happen in contexts driven by scarcity tactics. Limited time deals, flash sales, or only 3 left in stock. Add to that our old friend FOMO, fear of missing out, and suddenly you're justifying a purchase because I'll never get this deal again. BNPL says don't miss out just because you're broke today. Trauma survivors, particularly those who've experienced financial instability, can be especially vulnerable here. That "I deserve this" narrative hits deep because it's not just about the item, it's about reclaiming agency, worth, and dignity. If you want more on the financial side of BNPL, I suggest you listen to episode 735 of the Money Girl podcast, also on the QDT network. I'll link that in the show notes. Now let's talk about how BNPL can lead to debt even without so-called interest. You don't just use BNPL once. Use it for the shoes, then the makeup, then the headphones, then the concert ticket. Before you know it, you've got 5 different payments due every 2 weeks. And because these aren't centralized like credit card bills, many people lose track. A 2021 study by Consumer Reports found that 43% of BNPL users missed at least one payment. If your checking account doesn't have enough money when the automatic payment hits, you can rack up overdraft fees, late fees, or even penalties that affect your credit, despite what some of these companies claim. The emotional detachment from spending real money makes BNPL a gateway to habitual overspending. I've watched TikTok videos where folks say they have 52 BNPL loans and $1,700 worth of payments per month. This type of recurring debt can negatively impact your mental health. You're not budgeting, you're emotionally bypassing. And when reality catches up, you may be deep in a shame spiral. As a trauma-informed psychologist, let me be real with you. For many of us, money isn't just math, it's memory, especially if you grew up in poverty or food insecurity. Were raised in a household where money was unpredictable or shameful. Use shopping to cope with emotional distress. Hello, retail therapy. BNPL is marketed as empowerment, but for those that grew up financially insecure, it can become a slippery slope from treat yourself to trap yourself. If your nervous system equates shopping with security, BNPL becomes a fast-acting sedative for anxiety, loneliness, or depression. Shopping becomes a form of emotional regulation, a way to soothe yourself when therapy feels too far or rest feels too guilty. Okay, so now you're thinking, what can we do? The first thing is to name the emotion behind the swipe. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Are you buying because you're bored, sad, anxious, or feeling less than? Number 2 is to unsubscribe and unfollow. Unfollow brands and influencers that make you feel like you're never enough unless you buy more. You don't need another ad telling you that your self-worth can be bought in 4 easy payments. Quite honestly, for me, if I see someone shilling a different product daily, I look at them like they are a QVC or HSN salesperson. If you don't know what that is, it's basically home shopping channels where people demo products and talk about how amazing they are. Originally, when influencers were on the scene before the term was coined, it felt like you were talking to a real person who was actually recommending you a product. Now it's simply a paid spokesperson again. If you unsubscribe, you reduce the likelihood of impulse buying. There are so many situations where a person can go, is this an Amazon must-have, or did the algorithm lull me into pulling out my credit card? Don't let anybody Pied Piper you out of your paper. You worked hard for that money. Number 3 is to use BNPL for needs and not emotional fixes. If you must use BNPL, reserve it for emergencies or essentials, not emotional band-aids. Need new tires but short on funds? That's different from needing a new $300 jumpsuit to feel cute and confident after a breakup. Therapy is cheaper in the long run. Number 4 is to work on financial shame. Shame keeps us from asking for help, setting boundaries, or facing our patterns. If BNPL has led to debt, that's okay. We've all made financial mistakes at some point in our lives. Take accountability and seek support if needed. Therapy, support groups, or even financial literacy workshops can help you build self-compassion and financial clarity at the same time. Has BNPL got you caught up? Let me know. You can contact me via Instagram at KindMindPsych or via my email at psychologist@quickanddirtytips.com. The Savvy Psychologist is a Quick and Dirty Tips podcast. It's audio engineered by Steve Rickyberg. The director of podcasts is Holly Hutchings. Our podcast and advertising operations specialist is Morgan Christensen, and Nathaniel Hoops is our marketing contractor. Follow Savvy Psychologist on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. That's all for this episode of Savvy Psychologist. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.